The laughter hurt worse than the words. I sat at the round table, white linen perfectly pressed, my untouched glass of champagne catching the light as I tried to disappear behind it. Across the room, my wife spun in another man's arms. The string lights overhead shimmered gently, casting everything in a warm golden glow. The bride and groom, the reason we'd gathered, had long since faded from everyone's attention. All eyes seemed to drift toward Emily and her so-called best friend, Tyler, as though they were the ones whose love was being toasted. I didn't catch the start of the conversation, just the part that mattered. A woman at the table behind me asked if Emily was married. Without hesitation, she leaned closer to Tyler, grinning like she wanted to be overheard, and said, "Not really. It doesn't count when he's boring." Then came the laughter. Hers first, sharp and cutting, then his, then a few others who didn't know me enough to feel ashamed. I just sat there, hands clasped in my lap, acting as though I hadn't just been gutted in front of a room full of strangers. Emily had always insisted Tyler was like a brother, that I was overthinking their closeness. But brothers don't hold you that way. Brothers don't rest their foreheads against yours and sway like the rest of the world has vanished. I felt invisible at my own table. Every time her heels tapped against the floor, it reminded me I no longer mattered, not here, not tonight. Strangers could see what I'd been refusing to admit. She lit up around him in a way I hadn't seen in years. When the slow song ended, I thought maybe she'd come back, sit next to me, squeeze my hand and make some joke about how silly she'd been. Instead, she threw her head back at something Tyler said, laughing too hard, and let him pull her into another dance. The photographer even took their picture, the flash catching Emily grinning wide, Tyler's arm draped casually over her shoulders. I couldn't breathe. We left around midnight. The drive home was silent except for Emily's soft, tipsy giggles as she scrolled through her phone. Her cheeks were still flushed, her hair stuck to her neck from dancing. "God, that was so fun," she said, almost to herself. "I haven't danced like that in forever." I gripped the steering wheel so tight it hurt. "You didn't dance with me once," I said. She barely looked up. "Oh, come on, Daniel. You don't dance. You never have. You just sit there looking miserable. Tyler makes it fun." The way she said his name, soft, familiar, almost tender, made something dark twist in my chest. I wanted to shout, to make her understand what she'd just done to me. Instead, I said nothing, letting the headlights carve a lonely path back to our house. That night, she fell asleep quickly, breathing even and peaceful, as though nothing had happened. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying her words until they burned. Not really. It doesn't count when he's boring. If I was boring, then what was I to her? A placeholder? Someone to pay the bills until someone better came along? I turned onto my side and watched her sleep, her face soft, almost angelic. It didn't match the cruelty of her words. The anger inside me cooled into something heavier. At 3 a.m, I slid out of bed, grabbed a blanket, and went to the couch. For the first time in our marriage, I didn't want to be near her. Morning came dull and gray. Emily walked into the living room, yawning, hair tangled. She stopped when she saw me. "What are you doing out here?" she asked, rubbing her eyes. I didn't answer right away. "Did you have fun last night?" I finally said. She smiled. She rubbed her eyes slowly, looking tired, as if my words were something she didn't have the energy to deal with. "Yeah, Tyler and I had fun. Why are you making such a big deal about it?" she asked, her tone almost dismissive. I felt something in me snap. "Because I sat at that table for 3 hours, I said, my voice shaking, watching my wife dance with another man while she acted like I didn't exist. Her smile faltered, but she still tried to brush it off. "Daniel, you're overreacting." That stung. "Am I?" I asked, meeting her gaze for the first time that night. "When someone asked if you were married, you said, 'Not really. It doesn't count when he's boring.' Do you have any idea what that felt like?" For a brief moment, guilt flickered across her face, but she quickly hid it behind a mask of indifference. "It was a joke," she said flatly. "You're taking it too seriously." The word joke made my chest tighten. "You humiliated me," I said, the anger rising despite my best efforts to stay calm. "You made me feel like I wasn't your husband, like I was nothing. Do you have any idea what it's like to sit there and watch the person you love act like you don't even matter? She crossed her arms, defensive now, and said, "You're twisting this. I was just trying to be funny. Tyler gets my humor. You're always so sensitive." Her words hurt more than she could possibly know. In that moment, something inside me went cold. I realized what I had been avoiding for years. She didn't respect me, not as her partner, not as her husband, maybe not even as a man. I stood up, the blanket I had been wrapped in slipping from my shoulders. "If Tyler understands you so well, maybe you should have married him." Her eyes widened as if I had just struck her. "What's that supposed to mean?" she demanded. "It means I'm done being the punchline in my own marriage," I said, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it might burst out of my chest. I walked past her, anger and heartbreak swirling together until I could barely tell one from the other. I didn't just need a wife who loved me. I needed a wife who respected me, who saw me as someone worth standing beside, not laughing at. "Daniel, stop being dramatic," she said sharply, following me down the hall. "It was just one night, one stupid comment." I opened the closet and grabbed a small suitcase, my hands moving almost on their own as I started throwing clothes inside. "No, Emily," I said, my voice quiet but unshakable, "it wasn't just one night. It's been years. Years of you chasing excitement and making me feel like I'm not enough. Last night just made it clear to me. I can't do this anymore." Her voice cracked as she spoke. "You're leaving? Just like that?" "Yes." My throat felt tight, but my hands didn't stop packing. Because I'd rather be alone than stay married to someone who thinks I'm a joke. She grabbed my arm, tears spilling now. "Please, Daniel, don't do this. I didn't mean it. You're twisting everything. I love you." I looked at her for a long moment, and when I spoke, my voice was soft but final. "Do you? Or do you just love knowing that I won't fight back when you cross the line?" She had no answer. I pulled free from her grip, picked up my keys, and walked out. The morning air was cold and sharp against my skin as I stepped outside, and though my chest ached, there was a strange clarity in that pain. For the first time in years, I felt certain about what I needed to do. It's been 3 weeks since that night, and Emily has called, texted, begged me to come back. She says she's sorry, that she'll change, that she didn't mean any of it. But I keep replaying that moment in my mind, her laughter with Tyler, the way she dismissed me as though I were nothing, and I know it wasn't just a careless slip. It was who she had allowed herself to become. My new apartment is quiet, painfully so some nights, but it is an honest quiet, a silence that belongs only to me. And as for Emily, she woke up alone the next morning and she'll keep waking up alone. Because once respect is gone, love doesn't survive for long. It just becomes a memory of what used to be.